Hello, AFDA students. In this video, I'm going to show how I work through my parabola selfie project. So we're going to start on page 1 with the vertex form. And the first thing we're going to do is try to find the vertex on the parabola. So here I have my picture in Desmos. It looks like my vertex is around here. It's kind of hard for me to estimate. One thing that I could do is I could change the step so that it counts by 1 so that I can see a little bit more clearly. And I can do that under graph settings, and I can change the step to 1. And then I can just see a little bit more clearly where it might be. Like now I see it might be at like 2 and a little bit more than 2. So I'm gonna add a table. And it says my point's purple, which I might not see. So if I go into the settings here, I could change that purple to a different color that might show up better. All right, and I said it might be at 2, 2. So I'm gonna check 2, 2. All right, it's a little bit too low. It's a little bit too much to the left. So I'm gonna change them, make them just a tiny bit bigger. 2.2, 2.2, and I like that for my vertex. It looks to be at the top of the parabola. Okay, so then I'm going to go into my sheet here, and for the vertex, I'm going to put 2.2, 2.2. Okay, then I have to find an A value that's going to give me the stretch or compression that will fit my graph. So in order to do that, I'm going to start writing the equation. You see this equation right here? This is the one I'm trying to write. So I'm going to add a new f of x expression, and I'm going to put that in here. This is not a squared, which it needs to be. So let me change it to a squared. And then I need to put my numbers in here. So 2.2 is the h. And 2.2 is the k. And I'm just going to get rid of the a value while I try to figure that out. Okay, so here is my vertex. I need to flip my parabola upside down, so I'm going to put a negative. And now I need to make it wider. So to make it wider, I don't want numbers like 2 or 3 or 4. That makes it thinner. I need a fraction or a decimal. So I try 0.5. And I need it wider still, so I'm going to go smaller, 0.3, and I still need it wider. I'm going to try 0.1, and that's a decent match. Okay, so this is the one I'm going to go with. So that A value is negative 0.1. Okay. And then it says to write the equation. So what I'm doing is I'm doing the same thing as before. I'm using this equation. And instead of the a, I'm going to put what I got, which was negative 0.1. And then instead of the h, it's this number. Instead of the k, it's this number. So they happen to be the same. They're not usually the same. Okay, so then it says a link to the graph and the picture of the graph. I'm going back to my graph, and I actually want to save it. I'm going to give it a new name because I had it over here before. So I'm going to rename this one. I'm just going to add a number to the end. Okay, and now I need a link to the graph. So if I go over here to share graph, I can copy the link, and I can paste that here. And then for the picture of the graph, I'm going to go to still over here. I'm going to export image, but I don't actually download it. I'm just going to right click on it, and I'm going to copy it. And then I can paste that here. It ends up being huge. I'm going to make it smaller so that everything's going to fit on one page. So I think that'll be okay. Might just delete some extra space here. All right, rework the vertex form into standard form. So I have done this already. I'm going to copy it over and then I'm going to explain the work because the typing takes a little bit of time. Okay, so here is where it was from before, and I'll explain my steps. Okay, so here where it said to square the x minus 2.2, that means to multiply it by itself. So I wrote x minus 2.2 times x minus 2.2. Then I distribute the x, so the x times the x is x squared. X times negative 2.2 is negative 2.2x. Negative 2.2 times x is negative 2.2x. And negative 2.2 times negative 2.2 is positive 4.84. I combine these two middle terms because they're like terms, and that makes negative 4.4x. And then I distribute negative 0.1 to each, and I end up with this. Finally, I combine these two like terms to get 1.716. If step 5 is confusing you, you can save this for last. Don't let this keep you from doing your project. So if you're not having fun with step 5, you can put it off. Let's go on to step 6. In step 6, using interval notation, find the following: domain and range. So let me go back to my parabola. So my parabola, it might start right here, but if you look at mine, it doesn't actually fit the parabola right there. So I might actually start it over here. You want to pick like a point that makes sense. Let me check back and see where I decided to keep it here. I said my domain started at negative 2.49 and it went to 6.89. Let's see if that makes sense. I see. So I was using my x-intercepts, which might make sense for some of you and not for others of you. You can see here that this part definitely is not part of the parabola because it's starting to veer away from it. So right here, this might make sense as my starting point, negative 2.49. That's the x value. And then over here, there's definitely no parabola over here. So I'm going to end it right here at 6.89. And I use the square brackets to say I am including those points, negative 2.49 to 6.89. Okay, for the range, those are y values. So I am saying only this is the parabola down here. This is not a parabola because we're missing these pieces. So my range is going to start at this y value of 0, and it goes up to this y value of 2.2. Okay, increasing and decreasing. So I'm reading my parabola from the left to the right. So here it starts increasing, and then it's decreasing. When you list increasing and decreasing variable intervals, you list the x value. So it starts increasing when x is negative 2.49, and it stops increasing when x is 2.2. For increasing and decreasing, we don't include the endpoints. So we're going to use parentheses to say not including the endpoints. We never include them for increasing and decreasing. Now I know it starts decreasing at 2.2, and then it decreases until x is here, 6.89. Okay, so that should get you through the first page. And then remember that on day 1, I also would like you, I'm going to just delete some empty space here so that I don't have that page in there. I would also like you to write your paragraph here just for the first part. When you write it, after you've answered all 3 questions, then you can delete the box so it looks more like a report. So where, when, and why of the picture. How do you know your picture is a parabola? And describe whether it opens up or down, and if it is stretched or compressed in comparison to the parent function. And that answer for me is in my sample project. So I can show you what I wrote there. I wrote it's of the pictures of a window. It was a poster in my classroom. I chose it because I thought it was a beautiful window. I think that my picture is actually part of a circle, not a parabola, but I fit a parabola to the top of the curve. The parabola opens down and it has a vertical compression of about 0.11. So once I typed that, I got rid of the box. All right, so good luck with part 1. I'll try to make you a new video for part 2.